rearranging formulas. So this is pretty much as it says, and it's just kind of a lovely bit of basic algebra that you're probably definitely going to use, and it's not too bad. So the way these questions are always written in the exam is it'll be the instruction, make blank the subject. So the subject here is not maths anymore. The subject is maybe X, maybe Y, maybe A, maybe B, etc. So that's always the way they phrase this question. So we're just going to go ahead and do loads of examples and get used to all the different things that they can throw at you. So as we can see here, we've got X equals, that's no good. So we want to rearrange to get Y as the subject, so Y equals something. So basically you want Y on its own, you want Y loaning. So what can we do? Bearing in mind our main focus is to get this on its own. So we've got all this stuff around it at the moment. So I say we get rid of this plus 5 on the end here. So what would we get if we have plus 5 on this side? If we take it over there, we do the inverse operation, very important, and we get negative 5. So we're doing the same to both sides, equals 2y. So we're focusing on the fact we want y by itself, y equals, we almost have it, but we have 2y, so that doesn't count. Can't do that. So we want to get rid of this 2, we want to bring this 2 this way. Again, it's moving over the equals, so we need to do the inverse operation, and here there's a miniature invisible. If you zoom in really close, you would have seen it. Multiplication sign. So when we bring it over the equal sign, we do the opposite and we divide. And very important here is that we divide the whole side. All of this is divided by 2. You can't just divide x by 2 or the minus 5 by 2. It has to be the whole side. What you do on this side, this whole side, 2y, you have to do on that on the whole side. So, yeah, we've got y equals x minus 5 over 2. So that's kind of like as basic as it gets. That's just to, you know, warm us up. Let's look at another one. Okay, so in this one we have make M the subject, and as you can see here, I'm having great fun making these up with my name. So make M the subject means we want M equals something, and at the moment we have A equals something, and that is not what we want. You can go about these in different ways, but the way I would do, the step I would do first, because there's a bracket 10M, I would expand that bracket because it's also attached to a 3 at the moment and we don't really want it attached, and if we expand it, it's going to become its own thing. So if I expand this bracket, so I do 10 multiplied by M, this is a single bracket expansion, so it's when this one gives speed dating. And it also goes on a date with this one, so that's 10 multiplied by 3 plus 30, and then this stays where it is. So can you see what I mean? We've now got 10M on its own, we don't have M attached to 3, it's an independent woman now. So, what can we do? Bearing in mind we want M on its own, and we've got all this on the side, so I say we go ahead and try and remove that. So we do that by taking it over the other side. So we have A, on this side we have plus 30, inverse operation means on the over the equal sign you have negative 30, and here we have minus y, so on that side we plus y. So you just swap the signs when you bring them over. And then one more final step, here's the invisible multiply again. So we've got 10 multiplied by M on this side, we want to get rid of the 10, so to bring it over the equal sign we have to do the opposite and divide. And again, very important, you divide the whole thing by 10. You can't just divide one of these terms by 10, it has to be the whole thing. So there we go, let's have a go at another one. So for this one, make A the subject, so we know that that means A equals, that's what we want our answer to look like. So we know we can spot where A is. Sorry, chucking pens. So A is here, and it's kind of got a lot going on. So first of all, this looks a bit annoying. You just kind of want to get rid of any fractions or squares, stuff like that. So if we take the N, this side, we want it on this side. It's divide here, so when we take it up here, over the equal sign, it becomes multiply. So we have h multiplied by n, but we know that we don't actually have to write that multiplication there. You can just write letters next to each other and it means the same thing. So you can write that as hn, and that is from the rule a times b times c is equal to abc. You don't have to write multiplication signs when letters are involved. Okay, so getting a bit of track. There we go. Right, what's next? I know, stop shouting at me to take the 7 over. Good idea. So 7's in the way, it's not to do with the a, let's get rid of it. Plus 7 on that side, so we're going to have to take away 7 on that side. And again, this final step seems to be a very common final step. We want to get rid of the 2, so we divide this whole side by 2. By the way, my changing colour is pretty random. So because it's multiplied on that side, we divide on this side, and again, really important, you have to divide all of the terms. You can't just divide one of the terms. Okay, so this is our next example. So we're going to make a the subject of the formula. So we know that that means a equals, and I hope you can see what I've done here. I've written maths just in case that was lost on anyone. So we want a by itself, so we're going to work on getting this term by itself. So that means I can just get rid of these two. So let's see, so we want to take them over the other side of the equal sign because we can't just, rub them out, even though technically we could just rub them out. That wouldn't be maths though. So we want to move this minus 70 over here, which means we get plus 70. And we want to move this 4hs over, so we minus 4hs. Inverse operations is the key word, key terminology. Right, cool, we just did 2 steps at once because we're absolutely brilliant. So this final step's now opposite to the ones we're used to. We want to get rid of this 2. As you can see on this side, we've got a divided by 2. So when we go over the equal sign, instead of divide, you want to multiply, inverse operation. So what you do is you have to multiply the whole thing, the same way as when we were taking it over and dividing the whole thing. So you don't have to do this stuff if you don't want to, but it's 2 multiplied, which is bracket, by the whole thing. So yeah, really important, please don't just multiply like m. You want to do all of them. Okay, let's continue. So we know we can do, I'm going to write it up here, so a equals 2 times m, which is 2m. This one's going on 3 speed dates, plus, just do the numbers separately from the letters. 2 times 7 is 14, don't forget the t, and then final one, you multiply 2 and 4, but it's minus 4, so minus 8, numbers, then letters. Okay, so that's your answer. So that's just using more terms, and that's if you have a divide at the end, multiply the whole thing. We're going to move on to exam questions now. Okay, so here we have make a the subject, v equals u plus at. So the next 2 examples I'm actually going to use, they're called kinematic equations or Subat equations, which you don't need to know now, but if you go on and study mechanics A-level, then you use those. That's quite interesting that they're using these. Anyway, none of you actually care about that, so let's just make a the subject. So a equals, a is here, okay, so we've got this annoying like hanging around u, so we want to get that over the equal sign. So what do? V, and it's plus u on this side, so we take away u on that side, equals at, which are my initials, go me. And then we want a by itself, so we've got this t in the way, and we know there's a multiplication, because if 2 letters are together, that means they're multiplied. So it's multiplied on this side, and we want to do the inverse operation when we take it over the equal sign, so we divide. And again, we divide all of this side by t, not just one of the terms by t. Voila, done. Lovely few marks in the exam, yes please. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You're seeing squares in your exam paper and you're thinking, why me, why me, why me? Like, none of my practice papers had squares in. why I put them in now. But it's fine, we know what to do, and we're practicing it now. So, make u the subject, so we want u equal something. So first, just like we've got u squared, let's just get the u squared on its own. Okay, so this annoying term, so we want to take that over, so we get v squared plus 2as on this side, so we do negative 2as on this side, equals u squared. Okay, we want to get rid of this squared now. So just like the other type of operations we were doing, if we take it over the equal sign, we need to use the inverse operation. And the inverse operation is square root. So what happens here is we get u equals the square root of v squared minus 2as. However, when you do square root, you have to have plus or minus. So because squared numbers are always positive, but you can square negative numbers, that means you have to have the possibility that it might have been the negative one. So for example, 2 squared is 4, but minus 2 squared is also 4. So if I do the square root of 4, that can either be 2 or minus 2, because 2 times 2 is 4, and minus 2 times minus 2 is 4. So that's why you have a plus or a minus when you square root it. If you don't fully understand that, don't worry, just literally plonk the plus or minus there whenever you have to square root something and get the marks. Okay, make A the subject of this thing here. So we want this one on its own. First things first, these terms all come together, so we'll just let them be for now. And then we've got this extra term, so we want to take that over there. S plus ut on this side, so negative ut when you take it over the equal sign. Okay, let's do this step at a time. So we are multiplying by a half on this side, which is the same as dividing by 2, so I could rewrite this as at all over 2, which looks like something we've more dealt with before. So if it's divide on this side, it means we multiply when we take it over the equal sign. But again, you don't just multiply one term, you multiply the whole thing, the whole expression. Okay, and then let's expand this out now. So if we do that times that, speed dating 2s, 2 times minus ut is minus 2ut equals at squared. Okay, not good enough. A is not by itself, so we've got this t squared. And again, letters, there's an imaginary multiply. If two letters are together, that means they're multiplied together. So when we take it over the equal sign, we do the inverse operation of multiply, which is divide. So I'm just going to move and write up here. So we have A equals, and then this part, all divided by t squared. Okay, this one's quite interesting. Make x the subject. And we have an x here, but we also have another x here. So we have an x on both sides. So, firstly, you want to get them on the same side, and they're on opposite sides at the moment. So, I'm going to leave this side, and then I'm going to, it's like that, I think it was m before, x minus 2 is kind of attached, and I kind of want them detached. So I'm going to expand this bracket out so I can kind of get the x term separate from the minus 2. So I'm going to do bx, b times x, and minus 2b. So I do that because now I can move him without moving the 2. Okay, really, really important. Try and get x on the same side. At the moment they're working for different sides, but they don't want to be. So I'm going to leave the 2x here, and I'm going to bring this bx over here. So it's going to become minus bx. And then I've got minus 2b over here, and then a that I want to bring here over this side and get minus a. So I've kind of swapped a and bx, so I've got x's on the same side. Okay, so I've got 2x on the same side, but I've got 2x minus bx, and that just doesn't really, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to subtract 2 minus b. What's that? B is not a number, so it doesn't really work. So what I do is, because x is common to both, I factorize. So I take x out, and then I do 2 take away b in the bracket, and that is because if I expanded that back out, I'd have x times 2, which is 2x, and I'd have x times minus b, which is minus bx. So you factorise, so you can just get one x instead of having two separate ones, and then this stays the same, and okay, and now we have x multiplied by something, but we want x on its own. So I want to move all of this on this side, and because it's multiplied on this side, it becomes divide on this side, so I divide by 2 minus b. So yeah, if you've got it on both sides, if you've got the term on both sides of the equation, you normally need to either expand out whatever, move one over, and then normally you always have to factorise. You always have to do, this is the kind of, I'd say this is the clever step. That's kind of the new part, that's the harder part. So yeah, you're likely going to have to factorise just to get a single one if it is on both sides of the equation. So spoiler, factorise if it's on both sides of the equation. Okay, so this is our final example, so make x the subject. So we've got a equals x plus c all divided by x minus b. Right, there's not much I can do with here. I can see there are two x's, but I can't really connect them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of bring them onto the same level, so kind of on different levels. So I'm going to bring this up here and then see what I can do. So if it's divide on this side, it becomes multiply over the equal sign. And this bracket means multiply, so I've brought that up. Okay, and now we have a very similar situation to the one we just did. So I have an x on both sides, and I want them on the same side. So first thing I do, instead of this x minus b being attached, I get them separate by doing a times x and a b. So I expand that bracket. So now I can, just so I can like shuffle the x around without having it being like stuck to minus b. Okay, now what happens? Let's get the x's on the same side and the everything else on the other side. So we've got ax, I want this x over here, so I do minus x because it's plus x on that side, and we've gone over the equal sign, and then I have c, and then I want to take this minus ab over that side, so I plus ab. Right, okay, now we've got a clever step. This is where, so we have two separate x's and we've got ax minus x, and there's nothing we can actually do there, except, clever thinking, good thinking, factorize. So then we just have 1x, so we've got x, this would be a minus 1. So if you expanded that, x times a would be ax, x minus 1 would be minus x. Okay, just like before, what do we do now? X equals c plus a b cab, all divided by, that means divided by, and then this has a multiply here, invisible, a minus 1, so we want to get rid of the a minus 1, it's multiply on that side, over the equal sign, we divide. So we go c plus ab divided by a minus 1.